Hello, Patriots. Hope you guys are doing well. This is CJ with the Underground Conservatives and the Patriot Nation. And let's go ahead and get started. We have some things we're talking about today that are very interesting. We're talking about the Ukraine war. We're talking about globalism spreading by various types of injunctions and rules. The left basically have gone international. They're trying to control the world through carbon footprint control, through ethics control, through controlling the gender of your children. That's right, controlling the gender of your children. And yes, also, hey, Giovanna, thank you for joining us. Also trying to sow the seeds of dissent, of dissension, division between different groups in America. Hey, what's up, Carmen? Thank you for joining us. That is what the left is doing. Again, the left has gone from domestic to international with its attempt to destroy civilizations. Yes, that's right, destroy civilizations. Why are they doing this? Well, they're doing this, one, because they are completely ignorant and unknowing of the scriptures. That's right, the biblical scriptures that our country was founded upon. That is Judeo-Christian values, okay? We have Judeo-Christian values. Hey, what's up, David? Thank you for joining us. That were part of the origin of our country. And right now, our current leaders have run from those biblical values like the plague. That's right. They have run from them like the plague, thinking that they somehow know better than our founding fathers. However, we're finding right now they're doing nothing more than making a mess of our once great country. Not only are they making a mess of America, they are doubling down and trying to export it internationally. That's right, push it all over the world. Get rid of mother, get rid of father, get rid of traditional values, get rid of borders around nations, trying to redefine what a country is. That's what the left is doing. And Sleepy Joe Biden, what's up, Ann? Thanks for joining us. Sleepy Joe Biden is the puppet being led by these radical cabal of world leaders. It is getting out of control. One needs to look no further than New York, Brooklyn that is, to see the mess that they are making of this country and of our civilization. That's right. In New York, we have a suspect who's been caught. Suspect of the Brooklyn subway train shooting. He was called in by a tip that led to his arrest. The man suspected of shooting 10 people on a subway train in Brooklyn on Tuesday called in a tip to Crime Stoppers that led to his capture on Wednesday. Two law enforcement sources told CNN. We can't exactly trust this news source, but we can learn from studying this news source, their biasness, etc. Will they tell the truth? Well, let's find out. I read this earlier, and they told some truth, and they also revealed their bends and their prejudices as well too. Frank James, 62, was arrested without incident by patrol officers in Manhattan's East Village neighborhood on Wednesday afternoon, officials said. James called in a tip and told authorities, etc. I'm going to move forward on this because we already covered that earlier. He told the operator he'd be inside the restaurant charging his phone, but he could not be found when they showed up. The call dropped moments later and was followed by a 911 call, etc. and so on. Another participant did follow him as well too, a person that is an observer in the area in the restaurant. Patrol officers arrived at the McDonald's but did not see him, the sources said. Eventually, they tracked him back to his apartment. James is suspected, yeah, right, of setting off smoke grenades and firing a handgun 33 times on a crowded train traveling toward 36th Street station in Brooklyn's Sunset Park neighborhood. The attack left 29 people injured, including 10 who were shot. 10 who were shot. Though none of the injuries appear to be life-threatening, thank God. Officials said 5 of the victims were young, commuting to school. New York Governor Kathy Hochul said the motive of the shooting is not yet known. Yeah, right. One doesn't need to look very far to see the motive of this man, James. This man, James, was a radical. Matter of fact, James talked about how he hated white people, how he hated other people and blamed them for putting him in the situation he's in. That's right. He's a person who casted blame on others for his situation. a very common thing that occurs in the left. That's right, they blame others for their situation. So what happened? Thanks for joining us, Bonnie. Well, basically, James had a YouTube page, and he posted a lot of hate. Hate for whites, hate for non-blacks, hate for people who are different than him. He said he blamed them for his situation, and he envisioned killing people on YouTube. This guy's page, that is James, right? What is his last name? James, got his last name? Frank James, excuse me. He had a YouTube page, was allowed to operate this YouTube page with hate and speaking of killing people on his YouTube page. He was overlooked. He was ignored. But what was happening? Joe Biden was looking for all of these crazy white supremacists around the world, but somehow he couldn't find the real bad guy here. It was a radicalized, anti-white, anti-non-black racist from New York. And this guy's story is not unique. And I'll tell you a personal example why I know this. Because I ran into a very similar situation myself at a restaurant. That's right, way out in California. I was at a restaurant talking to a young man named Beto. Beto's a very nice guy. Not Beto O'Rourke, but he's a Hispanic male, very nice guy. And he and I were talking about dirt bikes. And this man came up to us, sat down next to us, and told us that we weren't supposed to be talking. That's right, because I was white and he was not white, meaning this man, Beto. And the man next to us, again, continued to tell us, why are you guys talking to each other? And he told Beto, he said, don't talk to him. Don't talk to this guy. He's white. You're not supposed to talk to him. This man was very angry. And it reminds me of this guy, Frank James. He was very volatile. He spewed out a lot of hate, and he got his ideas from somewhere. They didn't just pop up out of the blue. And I don't believe it was from mental illness. Well, he may have become mentally ill. That is this guy James or this guy I was talking to. But it didn't start with mental illness. It started with blaming others for your situation, which is exactly what Joe Biden does. He teaches people to blame others for their situation. As a result, we have a Biden crime wave exploding across our country. Let me go ahead and show you a little bit more about what happened here. I'm going to share with you this situation that I ran into, and you will see what happened. There we go. It is shocking, but it also is something that is not isolated. Okay, here it is right here, guys. Here's the guy. There's the restaurant. As you can see, he's right here. I was sitting right next to him there. Okay? And there's a guy across from me, Beto. And this guy comes up next to us and sits down and says, why are you guys talking? This guy's white. You're not supposed to be talking to him. The entire restaurant was filled with people. Yeah, he's a bum. He is a BLM. Black Lives Matter. And he told me I wasn't supposed to be talking to anybody who's not white. And I was like, that doesn't sound right. And of course, I fight back. I don't believe in this BS, right? This prejudice BS and this discrimination, whether it's anybody, any group. I protect people who are victims of discrimination. I don't care who it is, because we need to be governed and led by the golden rule, treating others as we want to be treated. Unfortunately, the left has abandoned this method, this philosophy of life, this Judeo-Christian philosophy of life. And as a result, you have all of this violence pouring out from left-wing voters, from people who are followers of or who have been influenced by the Democrat Party. So, as this guy is spewing out his hate, I eventually say, hey, look, that's racist, that's prejudice. And he just ignored me, continued to spew out his hate. I started to film him. And when I filmed him, you could see what happened. It's actually a vertical camera, but you can see he smacks my camera out of my hand. Let's play it and see if we can.
Yeah, fuck you.
Yep, that's what happened. He smacked my phone, knocked it to the ground. Yep, I do not comply. That's right. He smacked my phone, threw it to the ground. Okay. He said I shouldn't talk to anybody who's not white. And he told Beto, who's a super nice guy, don't talk to this guy, meaning me. He tried to sow the seeds of hate, of division. Hey, what's up? Thank you for joining us, Danielle. So that's what this guy did. Let me show you the video again.
Yeah. Fuck you. I'm fucking...
Okay, so as this comes up, this situation with Frank James, okay? Frank James is the guy who was arrested in New York because he hated people who did not look like him. And not only did he hate them, he acted out in violence. And that is what's happening by many who are being enabled by the left. Joe Biden is enabling hate and division in our country. Those who are angry, those who are criminals or who have a criminal past, like this man who was arrested today in Brooklyn. He had an extensive criminal past, and instead of blaming the criminal, people like Joe Biden and all of these different attorneys, etc., who've let this guy out, district attorneys, many of them who have been brought forward, who've been brought into office by George Soros, that's right, to ruin our country, to ruin our Judeo system, okay, our judge system. And what happened was this guy was let out multiple times and told, because that's right, he does. He hates himself. You're right. You know, it's actually sad. You're right. He hates himself and then he ends up hating others. You're right. It comes from a deep insecurity. And you're right. You're absolutely right. And so that actually helps us to cope with this. Thanks for mentioning that, Ann. So because of that deep insecurity, these people are ticking time bombs often and they act out. Joe Biden is not helping it. He's enabling it, okay? The worst, he said, what did Joe Biden say? He said, the biggest terrorist threat in America is white supremacy. This is a lie. This is an absolute lie. Statistically, it's a lie. Figuratively, it's a lie. It is an absolute lie. And Joe said, according to my the statistics that were brought to me, this is not true. I don't know any white supremacists. If I did, I would shun them and ignore them. I would laugh at them and push them away. It is not very easy to find them. Joe Biden is lying to us. We have so many other things that challenge us in this country. Radical Islam is a greater threat to our country than white supremacy, believe me. It is a much greater threat. But as a result, Joe Biden has sowed the seeds of hate and division in our country, causing ticking time bombs like this guy, Frank James, and the guy right behind me in this video to act out in violence. Not only have they enabled them to act out in violence, they have then stripped us from the basic fundamentals of human decency. Those fundamentals are based on the 10 Commandments, and they are based on Judeo-Christian values. Those values that our founders founded our country on. Okay, what did Jesus say when he was asked, teacher, what is the greatest commandment? Jesus said, love or have no gods before Father God. So worship nothing before God or more than God or above God, right? Your creator. And 2, he said, love your neighbor as yourself, for this sums up the laws and the prophets. It's also interpreted in some texts that all scripture hangs upon this commandment. Treat your neighbor as yourself. The left has gotten rid of this. They have thrown the Bible out and mistreated it. Okay, they have not been good stewards of this great, amazing book that we've had passed on to us. And as a result, people are acting like animals because they're getting rid of their spiritual roots, their spiritual Judeo-Christian roots. And we are putting our country into a very perilous situation by throwing the Bible out. You cannot have the 10 Commandments in a school, in a public school in many states. You cannot have the 10 Commandments sometimes in courtrooms. What? Why would we not have that? Thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not murder, thou shalt not bear false witness, lie. Really? We can't have those basic precepts of civility in courtrooms? We can't have those basic precepts of civility in schools? And then now crime is going up like crazy. What's up, Leslie? Thank you for joining us. You're telling me this, Joe Biden, that we can't put these biblical concepts in all of these educational institutions anymore because we don't want to offend anybody? Well, this is what happens when we don't want to offend anybody. We have people shooting people up in subways. We have people like the guy behind me blaming their problems, like you said earlier, Ann, that he doesn't feel good about himself, blaming it on me or someone else who looks different than him. These are called scapegoats. He's scapegoating his problems on others. It is an age-old tactic. It is not good. It is a devilish tactic. It is a demonic tactic. It is something we want to rid from our civilization. We want to rid it from our society because, hey, how you? Thank you for joining us, Leslie. It is something that sows the seeds of division. It will eventually destroy our civilization. There is a solution, and the solution, as I mentioned earlier, is getting back to the golden rule, treating others as we want to be treated. I'm going to show you this video that actually I put together right behind me. I actually wrote the script for this. I wrote this about during COVID. I was thinking about this, and I was seeing the division. I was seeing after George Floyd, I was seeing all the different attacks, people attacking someone because they thought someone said something else. It is never okay to initiate physical violence when someone has said something to us to offend us verbally. It is never okay to escalate that. That is not what we are supposed to do. It's always been against the law. But somehow that division, that line in the sand has gotten very murky. And as a result, we're having people lashing out and physically attacking people because they've been verbally offended or they've prejudicially been offended by somebody who they're in person with, they're dealing with side by side or what have you. Take a look at this video. It's called The Golden Rule Foundation. And I hope you like it. Let's see. Plan.
Hi, this is Tori with the Golden Rule Foundation. And with our foundation, we want to inform, encourage, and empower people to stand up to radical extremist ideology and bullying. We believe it's okay and even protected by the U.S. Constitution to have and to hold difference of opinion from others. It appears we have a new problem in America, and we call it systemic intolerance. It is never okay to physically assault someone for making a verbal statement or expression of opinion. Shaming, canceling, or trying to get people fired for sharing a different social, political, or religious affiliation, or assigning collective guilt is unacceptable, unconstitutional, and un-American. Through our web-based resource page, we will provide links and content to the pivotal current events that are shaping the present and future. Protecting freedom is essential for you, your children, grandchildren, and your neighbors' children. Whether it be religious freedom, gun rights, safety and security in the streets, freedom from excessive taxation, or freedom to stand for, wave, and display the American flag. When asked what the greatest commandment ever was, Jesus said, "Have no other gods before or above me, and love and treat your neighbor as yourself. For this sums up the laws and the prophets." We believe the Golden Rule is the answer to most of humanity's problems. It is cross-cultural, cross-national, and it makes sense. And it works every time it's tried. We will take a stand for you. Please consider donating below. Protecting and promoting humanity, the Golden Rule Foundation.
Okay, guys, that's the Golden Rule Foundation. There's nowhere to donate for it right now. I put that together about a year and a half ago after being completely frustrated watching the riots after George Floyd that took place across our country. I was disgusted by what I saw. People attacking people without even being attacked themselves. You cannot initiate violence if you are not being attacked violently yourself. It is not acceptable. It is not compatible with a civilized country. We need to get rid of this. The radical left is in over their heads. They do not know what they're doing. They are trying to rebuild the society by first tearing it down. And to get rid of our Judeo-Christian principles is one way to tear our civilization down. It's causing people to behave like animals when they should be behaving very civilized. With the Bible, with Judeo-Christian values, we have that foundation to operate from. And so that's why I put this together. I wrote that script earlier for the Golden Rule Foundation. I'm going to be doing some more work on that, but I love the concept of getting back to the basics. Trump says it, making America great again, getting back to our traditional values, the 10 Commandments and the Golden Rule, treating others as you want to be treated. What's up, Brian? Thanks for joining us. What's up, Jen? Thanks for joining us. So there you have it, the Golden Rule Foundation. That is the solution. Believe me, it is the solution. Joe Biden doesn't want that solution. He wants chaos. He wants things to burn down. The people who are advising him want that so they can rebuild it. They want to reset it, rebuild it according to their standards. Okay, so that's Joe Biden in a nutshell.